Okay, so in this episode, we talk about the Truman Show and the meanings behind it. If you haven't seen the Truman Show, it's actually a movie, not a show. It's a movie about a show. But if you haven't seen the Truman Show, go and watch it now. It's an hour and 45 minutes long. It is one of the best movies I've ever seen. It has Jim Carrey in it. So just go watch it. Because there'll be spoilers in here. But without further ado, let's get into episode 2. See what I did there? I just rhymed. Okay. So,
So you tell me you've watched the Truman Show, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so a lot of shows, or not a lot, but there are some shows that have what I guess you would call a multi-layer message to it. You can watch the Truman Show and really enjoy it, say how funny it was that a guy was raised in a town and he believed it was his life, and ultimately found out that he was actually a TV show, and then he opted out at the end, correct? But there's some hints to the real meaning of the show. For instance, what is his name?
Truman, or
True Man.
True Man.
Right. So part of the indication of that is he realized that he was living a false life. He was living a life that
he was the only true man.
He was right. He in the beginning. Actually, who he was in the beginning is who we all are. He got up in the morning. He brushed his teeth. He said hello that when he walked out in the morning, said the same thing over and over again. We said that, good morning, how are you?
And if I don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
There you go. Then went to work, came home, had dinner, talked to his wife, went to bed, woke up the next morning, did the same thing. We do the same thing. We get up, we brush our teeth, we get ready to go to school or work. We go to work, we come home, we eat dinner, we might watch a little television, talk with people, go to bed, clock rings the next morning, we get up and do the same thing. So we're living a life of repetition. And again, like we talked about the last time, we're also kind of given our life. We're told who we're not. He was told his name. He was told that he was, he felt like he was in a community as if he was part of that community, but he discovered later that he was the subject of an entire show. His whole life was false, the life that he bought. But there was clues. Just like in life, every once in a while somebody comes into your life or an incident happens. Sometimes people who are advanced, they'll say things like, the penny dropped. In other words, there was something that stopped them, and they realize something's not right with their life. And they begin to explore, or they begin to talk to the person that said something that got them to begin to explore. In this case, in the Truman Show, it was a light from the ceiling that dropped and hit the ground. And he stopped and he looked at it. Now, that was his first step of becoming aware that that something wasn't right. His whole life wasn't right. He got another glimpse of Mount Fuji, I think it was, if I remember correctly.
He had Fiji.
Fiji, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's an island, that's right, Fiji. So he had this, he's was raised in this one, it turns out, studio, but his whole place, he was stuck in his whole place and never got to be able to see Fiji. But the clue was there's something outside there, but he was never able to get out to see it until he started to realize the truth. And then when he began to realize the truth, he almost looked like he was crazy. Remember, they were saying, "What's wrong with you? There's something wrong with you." They were indicating that he was crazy. They were still good. They were okay. They were playing the crazy game, making this guy live like he was doing. But as soon as he began to realize the truth, society jumped on him and said, "No, no, no. You don't want to wind up in the hospital. You don't want to do this or that." So they went right over and made him as if he was wrong. And that's what happens when people want to wake up. As they begin to wake up, parents, teachers, other people come along and say, "Don't go there. Don't do that. No, you're going to look like you're going. You might. You're going to be." I don't know how to say this. It's actually they want to make you sound like you're crazy because you want to leave a crazy world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the crazy one because you want to leave this world. But if you look at the world, it's crazy. I mean, people are killing each other, stabbing each other. We got wars upon wars upon wars. So yeah, we do have a thing like that. But now the great part about the movie, getting back to Truman, is this: when he begins to realize he wanted out and he couldn't get out, he played a game. He allowed them to think that he was sleeping, right? When he really wasn't, if you remember correctly. Yeah. He allowed them to think he was sleeping, which is what everybody wants us to do, to stay asleep. Even in the Bible, Jesus kept saying, "Wake up, wake up, don't be asleep." So the symbol was him laying there sleeping, but he wasn't there. He was escaping. He was getting out from the craziness of what he thought was his entire world. He had no clue yet. There was something out there, but he felt there was. So he got on the boat, and as he was going out on the boat, if you remember correctly, the originator of the thing, I can't think of his name, but he was like a god. He spoke on the microphone. I can't remember
his name either.
So if you remember, he spoke on here's Truman out there on a boat, and he hears a voice out of nowhere saying, "You don't want to do that." And Truman, of course, is stunned. He looks up, he's looking around. It's as if God was speaking to him. And of course, the guy outside acted like a god. He controlled Truman's life.
Yeah, but I think...
Get that to pull off while you're saying just whichever one takes a second. That's all right. Thank you.
Okay, now it's off. Alright. Anyway, So I think he kind of, because when he was speaking to him, he hit the edge of his world first, with the boat pushed through the wall first, and then he got and went around and walked up the stairs, and he was at the exit sign when the guy started talking to him.
Okay, well, you're right, that's correct. Let's move back. Remember when he was in the water, the guy said, "Make a storm, give him a storm, make the waves real high, bring up the winds." So he almost died.
Yeah.
And in that going under the water, there became a new Truman. At that moment, he went under the water. It was a symbolic of a death of his old way. He came up and he realized, and then he hit the wall, and he knew that there was he was being part of something that was beyond him. He still haven't figured it out yet. He had no clue yet, but there was this door, and he walked up the steps. And that's when he was spoken to by the guy saying, "You don't want to do that. Stay here. It's safe in here." This is what happens when people want to grow, when people want to advance, people want to raise up their consciousness. People below them say, "Don't go there. Don't do that. You're going to be weird. That's odd that you want to do that. Don't you want to just be like us?" And most people go back to sleep. They'll say, "Yeah." As a matter of fact, all of society does everything to keep you asleep. Our egos work hard to keep us asleep. If you want to raise your consciousness and start to wake up, you have to be aware of that everything, parents, teachers, friends, they do not want you to wake up. the story with him is Truman stood at that door, had no clue what was on the other side of that door when that was there.
Mm-hmm.
And the awakening moment was he stepped through the door. He beat his fears. He had already died. He went underwater with the boat. In essence, that was the symbol. In Christianity, they use the symbolism of baptism. When you realize that you've lived a life of falseness and deceitfulness, and you've lied to yourself, and you've been lying to the world, and they've been lying to you, you go and you get baptized. You get put under water, and you rise up as a symbolism of a new you. And you become this new creature, as what's written in the Bible, a new person. His symbolism was he went under the water. The next step, he went further. He walked out. He said, I'm done. And he walked out the door. Now, the truth is, we know that he walked out into the real world, the world that we have here. Right? Yeah. But the symbolism was, and the deeper part was, he had the strength and the tenacity to take that step and walk through to the unknown. Had no clue what was there, and yet he said, I want it.
Yeah, and the when he was like taking calls, there was a part where he was taking calls where there was this little square up, and it was of Truman eating his breakfast. He was taking calls, and the girl that he liked was talking to him and telling him all about this and saying, this is sick, why are you doing this? But then the guy said, which relates to what you were saying, he said, this is only ambition, but if he really wants to know the truth, then we can't stop him. If he really wants to do that. He really
wants it. It has to be something that you want. First of all, and that's true, there was another little hint that different people broke into his building, into the big scene that he was living in, mm-hmm. to try to give him the message. Wake up. You're being watched by the world. You're part of a play. Everything about you is being exhibited to the world, but you are scripted. Your whole life is scripted. You can't get out of that script. You're this guy who wakes up in the morning, you walk out, you eat your breakfast, you walk out. You're like everybody else, except for he didn't realize the whole world was watching him. So the discovery is...
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah,
to figure out that you've been watched by the entire world from the point where you wake up to go to sleep every single day, and while you're sleeping too.
And while you're sleeping, the camera was on.
That was the creepiest part.
Yeah.
But
that's
and
society.
I think the point where it was really creepy because when the thing broke through the wall, mm-hmm. you could see that it was a wall, but it kind of still looked like it was still like the sky. But when he touched it, it looked completely different afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the clouds were, like, all flying and all that, and
That's
it actually looked like a wall. When he touched it, it just clicked.
Was a change. That's right. I was thinking about, and I lost it, that you're saying, I was going to say it was about how everything was to keep him asleep. Even when people broke in, the people who are watching the show, mm-hmm. they never wanted him to wake up. They've been watching it for years and years and years and years.
Yeah, some people did, though.
Well, they'd be getting there. There were those few that were trying to get a message to him. But what I'm getting at is, like, what I've been telling you is my life was that way. Everybody wants you to stay asleep, and there was the indication. They were enjoying the show. So that's why our parents say, "Oh, don't grow up. Don't be a little boy. Stay this way forever. Be my little boy forever." They give us words to keep us asleep and not to grow and not to become mature, not to become a whole, healthy person. And then we grow up and we become neurotic. We become a mess in society. It becomes a dog-eat-dog world. People want your job that you've got, or you want their job. You lie, cheat, and steal to just keep going on in life. Or you can begin to wake up. And when you wake up, you start to have compassion, and you begin to have love, and you begin to understand that everybody's asleep, and And everybody wants to support each other in their sleepiness. They want you to stay unaware. Now that's like an adversary that keeps you this way. The guy who was creating the show, you can look at him as a symbolic God. He created that whole set. He created Truman from birth. He brought it, even his parents weren't real. His wife wasn't real. All that wasn't real, but he believed it was real. See the difference? He actually believed it was all real.
And so, to find out that all of that was fake, that would make me like really angry.
Well, the object is to find out that not only...
First it would be scary, then it would make me angry.
Right, right. So what we have is a situation where the story is telling you to become aware that society is doing its best to keep you asleep. The first person to break through that in its entirety would be Jesus. Because if you read the word of how he came in, he became aware. So that he rejected his mother, his brothers, his parents. Now he was an older guy now. I mean, he was older, but he found when the truth hit him, he walked away from society. It said he went out into the wilderness for 40 days, which meant he just emotionally, spiritually, physically got away from it all to sort things out after he realized that there was more to life than what he'd been led to believe. Then he came back a healthy, holy, whole man, and the society all around him hated him because they're like, you can't be like this. What he was doing is he was making them realize just his mere presence that everybody else was a mess. And they all lied to themselves. They all want to believe I'm a good person. I'm good. And then here comes Jesus, a really true man. And then they had to realize their falseness that they've been lying to themselves about was exposed. So they say, get rid of that light, push it away, get rid of that truth, get that true man out of here. And they killed him. They hung him on a cross so that they were thinking that message would die of waking up. It didn't. It actually had a profound effect and took off like a rocket, and more and more people changed. Then the sleeping people over time, our society as a whole, began to take the message and pervert it and subvert it, and then it became a religion. It's no longer about growth. It's no longer about truth. It's about saying certain words and saying you have to believe these certain things. And that's how Christianity lost its the followers in the beginning were right on, and then as time went by, more and more people began to leave, or in order to fit in with their families, maybe some young man who found the truth, his mother would say, you can't do that, I'll hold on, you'll never inherit any of our money. So he went, oh God, that's scary. I don't want to lose everything I was promised. Okay, Mom, I'll go back to being your boy. And then as time went by, Christianity, or the truth of Christianity, lost its bearings.
Yeah, and the thing with religion is that it's all like you have to believe this.
That's right.
And then it just, because you have to believe it, it just loses the meaning of waking up. If you want to have a religion and wake up, you're going to have to put away that aside and experience things for yourself.
Right, and if you've got that religion, it was given to you usually by your parents, who send you to a church or a Sunday school or whatever. Buddhist, they say go put on an orange robe, and you wear an orange robe and walk around with a beggar's bowl. And then all of a sudden, because I'm wearing this and I say these words, I'm a Buddhist, or I'm a Hindu, or I'm a Christian. Jesus was expected to be a Jew because he was raised in the world of Judaism, Jewishism. His mother wanted him to be a good Jew. He broke free of Judaism and became something different. Now, he didn't leave Jewish and become a pagan of another religion like Artemis or Diana or something like that. He broke completely free. He was the first person to break free. Some people think they grow by saying, well, I was raised Catholic and I don't like a lot of what the Pope says, so I became a Lutheran. Or they were raised Lutheran and they say, well, as I got older, I began to like the Baptists better. I believe them more. Well, all they're doing there is just
switching around.
Switching around. They're not really breaking free of that grip that religion has on them to be a free, true man. But the first step is your first step is the realization that you are kind of a molded, shaped, conformed human being. And it's not wrong. It's just the truth. It's just who you are. And then to accept it. And to realize that you can be something more than what you are.
Mm-hmm.
So the Truman Show is a great show. First of all, it tells you with the hint of, there's a story about this true man. That true man became a real true man when he broke free of that false society, everything about it, and walked out that door. One of the symbols I have on my computer screen is that very picture of Truman standing at the door, taking his first step through the door, to remind me of, don't go back into that village. Don't go back into that town that he was living in, that I was raised in. My little Mayberry world that I was raised as a kid to believe that this is it. This is the world. So when I broke free and then saw this movie, it was like, somebody else who has broken free created that movie to allow it to be used as a message to help other people grow and not to get stuck in their life.
Yeah, and even more symbolism with the movie was the point where he had the door open and he was about to walk through, but the guy told him there is much lies in the real world as there are in my world.
That's right. That's what I said.
It's more symbolism.
Right. That's it. Right. But the truth is, the big picture is, when you symbolically die to the old person that was created by other people and become a new person, and step through that door, it's like going from a caterpillar through the chrysalis and then becoming a butterfly. The chrysalis is that time where he was on a boat, and then when he went through the door, when he walked through the door, he became a butterfly. You see the difference? Now, most people are born a caterpillar and die a caterpillar. When they go in the chrysalis, some of them die in the chrysalis because they're afraid to go that next step.
Yeah.
And their moms and dads say, "Don't go there, don't go there. That's a cult. That's a wrong thing to do. Don't listen to him." And then they back away and they never make that step again. Very few people will go into the chrysalis and then come out a butterfly. Now, does a butterfly go back and hang and tell the caterpillars how to live as caterpillars? Oh, if you're a caterpillar, let me show you where the great tree leaves are. No, a butterfly is a whole different ball game. If he's going to go back, he would say, get ready for the chrysalis. Get ready for that chrysalis. Come out as a butterfly. Go back and tell the caterpillars, you're going to go into a chrysalis, become a butterfly. Today, though, people will say, stay a caterpillar. Stay a caterpillar all your life. It's a wonderful life. And there are a few people like me who come along and say, wake up, start realizing it, and then just grow with that. Know that there's stages, and those stages are okay. Sometimes they seem like a death. Sometimes they're scary. But when you come through them and you wake up a next step, you reach, and this is what we talked about the last time. When you transcend, you move up a step, you don't forget those behind you. You reach that back and say, move up, move up, move up. As you move up, you ask them to move up behind you. And that's a purpose of a teacher. Do you have any questions on that? All right. So now, go ahead.
No, I don't think I have any questions.
So what I'm appealing to you right now is your mind with this story.
Yeah.
Okay. You're an intellectually minded person, and I'm saying to you, basically, you realize we have this moving instinctive part of us, an emotional part, and an intellectual part. The fourth step is realizing there's more to life than only having those three things: being instinctual, being emotional, or being intellectual. And that would be the fourth step. That is when you like become aware it's time to build a chrysalis, a caterpillar saying, there's more to just crawling around looking for leaves to chew. I want to build the chrysalis. And then you go ahead and start doing that. And then there's, we talked about before, there's 5, 6, and 7, and they're not going to help you at this point. The object is to realize again that there is a natural man is those first 3 levels. The supernatural begins at the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. And that's when you move into the psychic abilities. And I say, don't stop there. Move on. See what I'm saying? There's these other steps that you can do. And that's what you're here to do. You're here to wake up. And know that what you're going through and where you are even right now is okay. We live a false world. We create stories about ourselves. How can I word this? We lie to ourselves. We might see somebody who's a bad person. We kind of say to ourselves, well, at least I'm not like that person. I'm kind of kind. I'm a nice person. I'm a good son. So we create little stories about ourselves. But what I'm saying is everybody's still in that lost world. You're born in the lost world, supported by the lost world. And you don't have to succumb and live, breathe, die without ever moving up. You can do things while you're in this lost world and move up and out of it.
Yeah.
So am I talking over your head now?
No, I was listening to every word.
Okay. So basically, again, we can use different approaches. The story of the Truman Show is a great one because it shows you that there is a door. In Christianity, it is realized, and what they say, by the way, is you realize that you're a sinner, and the word sinner, the word sin, S-I-N, in the Roman language meant being off the mark from a bullseye. Are you familiar with a bullseye? Like when you shoot an arrow?
Yeah.
You've got the white, I know you got the red bullseye. Can't picture it in my mind all of a sudden. And then it's white on the outside.
Yeah, it's white on the outside, and then it goes red. It's white on the outside, and then it goes red, white, and it's red in the middle.
Okay, so you have that red middle. Your object in life is to aim to hit the bullseye. So any degree that you miss the bullseye with everything you do in life, if you wake up in the morning and you're miserable and you treat somebody miserably, you're outside the bullseye, and anything outside the red of the middle is called sin. You're in sin. So when the archers in the Roman days at the time of Jesus, when they fired their arrows and they missed the bullseye, they'd say, you're in sin. Okay, that would be an indication you missed the bullseye. So when Jesus woke up, or during the time of Jesus, the idea is to recognize you've lived your whole life in sin. You lived your life in sin because you didn't even know there was anything, that there really was like a bullseye to aim for. So you've lived your life in sin outside of the truth.
Yeah, but then the Christians, if he did the sinning, then the Christians just, I don't know what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, they say if he did the sinning, then why don't they call Jesus a sinner? Why do they call him like a saint?
Okay.
It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, but Jesus is a bit of a perplexing man because he's multi-layered. There's 7 layers of Jesus. Most people think of Jesus like the infant, the baby Jesus. As a matter of fact, the Catholic Church always has images. If you think of Jesus, you think of the Virgin Mary holding the infant. You see pictures of her holding Jesus as an infant. They've kept their level down to that first level. Now, there are some in the Catholic Church that have moved up to different levels, but there's 7 levels of Jesus. Jesus burst through and became the 7th level. He's the highest level. And he came back to say, look, folks, you keep trying to get out of sin and do what is right. And you keep failing because society keeps telling you. But the fact is, because you're so mixed up right from the get-go, it's best to accept yourself. To realize you've been living in sin is your first step. If that makes sense, that's about the best way to put it.
Yeah.
To just know that you're living in sin, and at this point, there's nothing you can do about it because you're so entrapped in it.
Yeah.
Just like when Truman had that light fall, there was an example like, something's not right. Something's not right. But yet he still kept on going for a while. So yeah, the sin message is you to just be aware that you are, and at this point in time in your life, there's nothing you can do about it, and it's okay not to be condemned. See, that's what religion does. Religion says you're wrong. There's something wrong. You need to do this. You need to do that. The idea is just to realize as a whole, you've been off the mark with nature. God created everything, and you're off the mark. You're outside of, think about it. I think I mentioned to you before. Could you just go outside and lay on the grass all the time, go to sleep at night, sleep on the grass or sleep in a tree? We're not comfortable.
Alright, so this freaking ticked me off. The reason this thing is so short is because it wouldn't. You saw. Oh no, you didn't see it. The reason it's so freaking short is because I clicked that stop button like 28,000 million times and it didn't stop. So I swiped the app up. I double-clicked my home button and swiped it up, and it was only 29 minutes and 33 seconds. We filmed freaking 50 minutes, over 50 minutes of footage, of audio, and half of it gone. Freaking ticks me off, man. But basically, the message is, what we basically talked about, in the missing thing is, Jesus he wasn't there to teach a religion. He was there to tell you that there's more to life. That's basically all we were talking about. And I think somewhere in there we talked about how we build stuff for our needs, but it hurts other animals. I don't know when in that episode we talked about it, but you know, maybe the other half will come up soon. I don't know. But anyway, hope you like that half of episode that we just filmed there. And see you in episode. Wait, I need to make a rhyme. That's enough of you seeing me until episode 3. See what I did there? I rhymed again. It's not funny. Okay, now I won't stop.